On to the live stream. It's preparing. Oh, how
Okay.
exciting that we get to be here together and unite in our little digital salon.
The energy we all need.
We did it. We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Daydream Show. My name is Nell, and I'm joined with my friend Alyssa. Hi, Alyssa.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good, good.
We made it!
We
Another
did it.
day!
We have
Daydreaming.
we have made it onto the internet to take up space with our takes on David Lynch.
Yes, we are here. I was talking about I am here, the phrase from the Muppets Outer Space when this
Are
came
you
up a while
there?
ago.
Oh yeah. Are
Um,
you there versus I am here?
yeah. And then he responds like, I am here. And that idea of like, we are here. We are queer people making queer art, talking about queer art, celebrating queer art and community. Like, we are here. I don't know. I just feel like I'm like getting my Kermit robe on and ready to ride a lawnmower into the cosmos, you know? If you haven't seen Muppets Outer
Literally.
Space, highly recommend.
Muppets in space, an
Muppets in
iconic
Space.
piece of art in our
Yes.
time.
Really all
Yeah,
Muppets, but before we can
I
get into
know.
that, we gotta back up to the we gotta back up to the original,
Yeah. There's only
which is
so much
David
time.
Lynch. It's
There's only
true.
so much time.
Which
Yeah.
is to
So
say, we
we
will come back as we have come back because 1 year ago we celebrated in May the work of David Lynch because of David Lynch's last words were a blessing of peace that start with the word May. And maybe I can find all of those words, but yeah, that's why we chose May to celebrate David Lynch, and we're back around because there's so much David Lynch to celebrate.
There's so much, and also it's such a, non-linear thing, and yeah, non-linear thing, and a way to abstract way to process, and it keeps coming up. All these motifs keep coming up, and it's so funny because I had been, we're both sort of in our film era, but we hadn't been for a long time, and I had sort of resisted it because of all like the hipster men that I hated, film bros, and I was like, I'm not
Exactly.
gonna get into film.
Yeah,
But
there
like,
was like a very closed off energy to Lynch. It was like a secret club
right,
that you weren't allowed to get into unless you wanted to engage in toxic masculinity, which is
right,
hilarious
which is
because that's so
it's so
antithetical.
funny. It's so funny. I mean, it is like, and I had heard of him more because of transcendental meditation, which I have like done forever, and I'm actually a teacher of, and he was a big proponent of. And yeah, and talking about consciousness. And so it's so funny because it really shows like his conscious, he was such like a lovely person who's not at all like misandrist or like toxically masculine. I mean, I think he went through that and then he kind of like was able to find a different place that's like more transcendent and tap into creativity. Um, and all of that. So it's just funny
And
because
then
some of
made
his
his whole mission to like talk about that because all of
right
his
made his
work,
whole
you know?
mission and created the David Lynch Foundation, which has helped all they do a lot of like teaching of like veterans and in schools and all kinds of stuff. And like doctors and all kinds of stuff teaching TM. Um,
Wait, what's TM
but
again for those who maybe don't know?
Oh yeah, transcendental meditation. Da da da,
Da
which
da da.
is which is a it's like a meditation. It's a that's a whole other topic, but it's a meditation that Maharishi Mahesh Yogi brought out of the Himalayas in the 60s, which is a way for to allow the mind to just automatically reach the transcendent in an effortless way. So it's very easy, unlike mindfulness or like concentration techniques.
Mm.
So there's a lot of research and it's a whole thing, but
It's a whole
basically
thing.
it's a whole thing. But
And while we're
basically,
saying this, I will say that I think that a lot of the work of Taylor Swift is working at preparing people to arrive at transcendental meditation or meditative practice that would help them
right.
with
I mean, and
collective
it's
consciousness.
interesting. It's interesting too because it ties back to the romantics of like Wordsworth and Coleridge and stuff. And like
Mm.
Wordsworth, you can tell like was tapping into like states of higher consciousness in terms of his like perception
Mm.
of daffodils, like perceiving like the moving, like nature of daffodils and all of that. And like
Ooh,
you can
yeah.
see that he had these glimmers of like a very heightened like state of consciousness that was like beautiful and celestial, and then he couldn't get back to it. And so that's why I like about GM, because that it's like gives you a way for your brain to like be able to get to that place and like gradually build it up versus like doing ayahuasca, which is like very rough on the nervous system. And you might have like a crazy
Mm.
experience, but it's like it's like shakes up the body so much because it's not like a gradual growth of states of consciousness, which is what I have found with TM. And
Mm.
so it's very interesting because it's just like to come from that viewpoint of like knowing that about David and then as an entry into his work is just like funny because it's the opposite way of most people.
Yes,
But
literally
it's like
that.
it's so funny because it's like in a way I'm like a sensitive girly. So in a way like but in a way I'm not. Like. So it's funny that, some of the films are like tense and they do deal with like tough topics, but in a way that like is sort of finding like the beauty within them or like helping you
Mm.
process them or like I mean, if you think about it, like Mulholland Drive was like really like the beginning of Me Too before that even was a blip in anyone's like consciousness. So
Yeah.
it's like revealing that horrifying secret of the casting couch and how that's like completely haunting like entertainment basically is
A
like
woman in trouble.
based on the woman in trouble and like sexual predation. So that's, it's tough, but it's
You
like
were
tough
talking
topics,
about, yeah, yeah, yeah. About
but in
like
a
being
like a
held in it.
but yeah, there's like a weird and like the more you kind of think about it, like you're sort of tense watching it, but then it's like weirdly comforting to think about it.
This is exactly how I feel about David Lynch. Because I definitely identify as a sensitive girly, as a double Pisces.
Yeah.
And I felt this way a lot. We've talked about in book club how Zombie by Audre Lorde is really some dark topics.
Yeah.
And there's a way of her writing that just holds you. Like, it's like, yes, we
Oh,
are going
completely.
to see the harsh realities of life, but like, I'll hold you. I'll be with you on this journey. And so you're able to go there. And that is such a magic of art. And I think David Lynch does the same thing. It's like Inland Empire is like grotesque, like fearsome. I like have chills on my body physically just thinking about it. And it's like 3 hours-ish, close
Yeah.
to, maybe not quite
And then
that.
there's a director's cut that's like 6 hours,
Oh my
which we
Lord. I
which
haven't
we
seen the
haven't
director's
watched.
cut.
We haven't watched
No.
that yet.
But I will say
But
that when I first watched that film, I felt so comfortable inside of that world, which it's not a comfortable world. And
no.
that kind of like dissonance of like I'm watching something horrific and yet I feel safe here. To me, that is like the power of David Lynch and why I've been enamored and entranced by his work since we started exploring it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, sometimes, you're not up for it, but sometimes it's interesting too because it's like, in a way, it's more comforting for like if there are going to be horrible things in the world, like it's more comforting to just be like this
Mm.
is happening, like this is horrible, like we're not going to pretend like having that facade or pretending that it's not horrible, like very much like Blue Velvet, like showing like the horrors that lurk beneath like 1950s suburbia like aesthetic is like, well, at least we're going to be honest
Mm.
about the horrors. At least we have
Right.
honesty.
Well,
Like if
that's
they're gonna
what
be horrors, we gotta look them dead in the eye.
yes.
Which
And
is a lot of
that's the
what,
first step of like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
that's a lot about like Twin Peaks too. It's like looking the horrors in the eye kind of thing.
Mm. It's making me think of the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, who talks about suffering. When you are suffering, the first step out of suffering is naming.
Mm,
Like, you have to name what is suffering. So like I can think about like on very like I don't know. I used to work outside and it's scary to be outside in a storm and sometimes you have to wait out the storms and I can be remember being scared in storms because people die from lightning and trees, and I can remember saying like I'm sitting in the rain. I'm sitting in the rain. Like to myself over and over as like a mantra to be like, okay, like this is just you're here and you don't have control over anything else. Like this is the safest place for you to be. Anyway, that's an abstract example, but just like that from big to small things, like in order to address something, you have to like name it.
Right. Yeah, which kind
Which
of
is
ties in, could go a lot of places with that, but it ties into Mulholland Drive too, of like, it's time to wake up. Like, you can only get so far
mm,
on like delusions, and it makes sense for the brain to like not want to face horrifying things because you would like to live in delusion, and I think that's kind of how, especially like the American ethos is just delusion of like, yes, all
mm,
of this endless growth of capitalism is completely sustainable and gonna continue infinitely. Oh God.
right.
And everyone who goes to Hollywood becomes this amazing movie star. And,
They feed
um,
you to the machine. They put you through the machine and will make you a god,
they,
as Taylor said.
yes, as she said in her interview with the Songwriters New York Times, yeah, which are still
Mhm.
processing, but right. It's like
Yeah,
we
at this
need,
recording, it came out yesterday, so very much still
so
processing.
timestamp for that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah. And I think a lot about too, it's like David Lynch, there's this like I don't know, it's like a story from like uh one of one of like the Maharshi Mahesh Yogi like videotapes and stuff. He took a lot of like lectures and stuff and they always like videotape them. And he tells a story about this saint. And he said like there was this saint going around in India and everyone was like, oh my God, this saint is amazing. And he was finally in this one village and everyone was like, okay, we have to clean up the village really nice because this really revered saint's coming. And we can't let him see like the slums. We can't let him see like a place where there was like a car wreck and the saint went directly to that part of town and they're like, no, 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 you're not supposed to be in that part of town. And he was like, why? It's gorgeous. Like, look at, he was like, and they were like, oh my God, someone like ran over a cat. And he was like, no, but like, look at its teeth. Like, its teeth are like so gorgeous and like they're pearls. And he was like, wrote this whole poem about this like teeth. And it was just like such a paradigm shift of like how to view the world. It's like it was sort of an example of like the world is as you are. Like if you have that like a level of different states of consciousness, you're able to not be shaken or you're able to just see the beauty in like everything. And like that David Lynch idea of like Mulholland Drive being like him seeing the beauty in like a severed ear being covered in insects and like no, this is like gorgeous and let's like absorb this imagery and like find the sort of transcendent in it and find the consciousness because like actually from a certain point of view there's just creation and destruction and they don't really have like
Mm.
an inherent morality um even if the
Mm-mm.
body freaks out and wants to be like safe but you can really like it's just crazy if you have that level of consciousness sometimes you can just be like, no, it's just the ebb and flow and the waves coming in and the waves going out. And it's not really like a forced mind state. It's more of like, because I think that can do more damage. And if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. But there are ways that you can tap into that and just be like, oh, it's literally just karma or it's literally just like a creation and destruction. And they don't have like, yeah, they're not scary if you're kind of invincible in that way.
Right, it's like beyond that. There's no
Yeah,
like a neutrality to reality of just like there
right.
is.
Yeah, if you're identified with, the unified field and not just an intellectual way or field of consciousness where you're able to figure out, think about that. It's like the unified field doesn't care about anything. So
Yeah,
it's interesting, but
very
I think there
interesting.
is that pressure to kind of fake that until you make it, which is really not sustainable, but if you can slip into, I mean, throughout time, there's been all these different saints that have slipped into different states of consciousness, you know? So it's there. You just gotta figure out an angle.
Well, it's also interesting to me in like the timing of it because I mean, to me, this is like to me, one of the most divisive times, well, in my life. Um,
Yeah, it's terrible.
and we do go through these cycles of ebb and flow
Yeah.
culturally.
It's such
As
a, yeah.
and
Oh
I'm
no,
just
go ahead,
thinking
Karen.
about like there's this like if we feel like there's this artistic push for some greater collective understanding of the universe expressing itself and to like wake up from our separateness, as has been said, like what a there's like two converging lines. There's the like cultural ethos of like individualism and separatedness in the United States, I feel like is reaching its apex. And then there's this artistic push that is countering that of saying like, what if we are not so different? Which is like I really grapple with as somebody who is like, I have oppositional views to alt-right, MAGA, etc., obviously. And like I don't really know what to do with the fact that it's like, oh, I my problem with you is that you want me to die. I actually like don't even have a problem with you. Like go do whatever the fuck you want, I guess. Don't abuse kids, but also like maybe that's where we're
Right.
at. Maybe they're all abusing kids. I don't know. But I'm just like the opposition is like you want me to die. The only reason that I don't like alt-right is because you are like trying to stop me from living. You know what I mean? And whereas I
Right.
feel like the source of like why, which I don't know, you could argue that like alt-right people believe that the left is impinging on their way of living, but I think that's how they see it. I obviously don't see it that
Oh
way.
yeah, that's that propaganda in
Yeah,
play, and they think that we're abusing kids, and they're like, we just, and it's just like, what, girl? Yeah,
that's
so
so wild to
it's so
remember.
crazy. I mean, it just shows, I think that that's part of why it's like that's such a big practice for me, my meditation practice, because it's just like takes me out of that like relative field of life and it gives me like an anchor for something, like an anchor in the unified field
Mm,
to be just like, oh, like if everything is just like consciousness, like, it's like you can figure out and just be, it's so hard because it's just like you don't, what's the level of like how effective is it to hate other people even if you have very good reasons to do that? And
right.
it helps me to say like I don't hate those people, I just hate their stress that's completely warping their mind and like
Mm,
it's making them perceive everyone else as an enemy. And so in a way that like it's not really spiritual bypassing, but it's like we still have to deal with like the actual effects of their actions and stuff, but it's just like helpful to me because it's like once you start to feel like, oh, other people are inhuman monsters, then it's just like it's literal. I do believe that every baby starts fresh and it's every
yes,
every baby is just like pure consciousness and pure love and they just get fucking warped by the world. And so it's like
correct.
my beef isn't really with that like small wounded child that's within everyone. My beef, so
Mm.
it's like helpful for that because it is tough and people are so susceptible. Everyone's in fucking like tremendous fucking agony in the world right now.
Tremendous fucking agony.
I mean,
Yeah.
like various states of like extreme
Some
oppression,
self-imposed.
self-imposed. I mean, from the billionaires that are fucking miserable to like
Correct.
horrific genocides going on.
Mm.
Like it's like there's a through line of most people, it's just like varying levels of current extreme like emergency situations, but it's just like, you know, I think we're just really feeling that like the world is just shaking with all of the trauma. And like
Mm.
there's really no escape from it except for to meditate.
I think that's like there's been a lot of vices in my lifetime,
Yeah,
like culturally, smoking
right.
or, whatever. I think we've talked a lot about the vice of the culture shifting from religion to the deification
Mm-hmm.
of celebrity, and like that is a
Yeah,
vice, you know? Like let me just
totally.
like pour into the Taylor Swift cinematic universe instead of the fact that the trees are dying, climate, like I can't
Right.
control so much of it. And this is not saying don't do that. Thank God we have art at the rise of
Literally.
fascism. If we didn't, could you imagine? And I also do believe that art is influential in curbing fascism or allowing it to rise. Uh, so sorry, I went down a rabbit hole about fascism and
No,
I
I've
forgot where
been
I was.
literally like being alive in 2026. Whoops.
Thesis. Whoopsies. What?
Whoops,
Fascism?
fashion. Whoops, thought too hard.
Yeah.
Uh,
I do want to reiterate what you're saying though, and that like it's not people, it's systems. All children are
yeah.
born innocent and are thrust into an evil world, abuse, whatever. It doesn't mean we are not to,
No, it doesn't
strive for
excuse
justice and whole.
actions.
Yeah, no, no,
It
it's
doesn't
that's
excuse
exactly
actions
it.
and it doesn't, but it's just like when you think about the moment you stop seeing other people as people, that's a very fucking dangerous road to go down.
And an
Um,
alt-right one.
yeah.
NCP's non-controllable players. That is a red pill to
Yeah,
not
I
be
mean,
in.
and even like neolib, I think it has that too. It's just
Mm.
like if you're not being like, holy shit, everyone deserves housing, everyone deserves fucking food,
Mm.
like that should be the priority of every society. Not just like, oh, I
Correct.
donated to, I threw a charity gala. Okay, I'm gonna go back and live my cozy life while like the world is suffering. Like, it's like that's also it's like a more subtle and more pernicious form of not recognizing the humanity of others, I think. Um, you know?
I just went into Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler and how it's set in this year, and I was thinking about the little communities that the people in that book
Mm,
live in, and I was like, oh my God, those are the network states. Those are in San Francisco, there's a huge push to colonize tech communities, tech campuses in like very rural parts of Northern California that are going to be gentrified. Like, this is like already, we're
yeah.
talking like a 3 hour-ish, 2 hour drive out of San Francisco. And that's like the cheapest where a lot of people, anyway, if you network stays, don't let them happen. Do not be bribed into being protected. You will be next. It's like being disabled, you know? If you are not disabled, you better be fighting like hell for disabled people because you are one step away. That is the
It's
only minority that everyone has the opportunity to become.
yeah, and same with,
Minority oppressed class. Sorry.
yeah, and same with like not having a house, same, and not
Exactly.
having an income, like we are all living like so close to the edge.
Hmm.
It's crazy. And to not think that that couldn't happen to you is crazy.
Yeah. And I
Uh,
understand that it is like scary, I
it's super
understand
scary.
the cognitive
Yeah, it's
dissonance that people protect establish to protect themselves.
totally,
And I think that
totally.
David Lynch, as you were saying, argues that that is a band-aid that is not going to stop it's not going to fix a bullet wound. Like,
No,
you have to wake up, you have to have some espresso from
you gotta have
Sabrina.
some coffee. Yeah, you gotta keep having that coffee and keep, and find ways to sustain yourself, find ways to figure out different, different avenues to break open the world and think about it in different ways.
Totally. Which is to say, shout out to everyone in the Winning Circle Salon because I'm so grateful that there's a place where we can talk about things like the
Great.
intersection of our daily lives and art and how we can process that.
Right. And you think about like way of breaking silence. There is like hope in David Lynch too. There's like hope in Inland Empire of like Laura Dern's character she's able
Mm.
to sort of free this lost girl from this
Hmm.
horrific cycle. And
Yeah,
she's able to break through it. So it's like sometimes it can be like a horrifying journey, but there is hope that you can through from it. And there is hope that you can, protect
Easy
other people.
Mo. Isimo,
Yeah.
look at you. You got out from the bleachers. Bleachers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's so many things to say about Inland Empire, which I do think is a foundational source text for Midnights based on Laura Dern, the lighter scene, Midnights as a
Yeah.
motif for death and rebirth. I highly
And
recommend looking through it through that lens, and I'm sure we'll go through it at some other time.
yeah,
This is just a welcome to
this
Lynch,
is
if you will.
a shorter, oh my God, a shorter aspect. Yeah, because there's so much. I mean, there was so much. It's like all these people, we're kind of like scared to watch it, and then all of these people were just like, we're gonna just constantly use David Lynch iconography, so you're gonna just have to
Right, which that was like
like,
a huge point was we want to be able to share the cultural motifs, the visual motifs that people are talking about. So when a David
right.
Lynch film is referenced, we know what that means.
And it just keeps happening, and we're like, damn, we did good by watching that.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Totally. Which is to say, here's some things coming up on our schedule. We are watching a lot of David Lynch to celebrate in the month of May. We're starting with his master class in Film Club. We're watching 3 films there, including Wild at Heart, which is, I believe, Laura Dern's first collaboration with him. No, is she in
I
something
think
sooner?
so. I
Maybe
think it
Blue
was one of
Velvet.
their. Oh yeah,
I think she's in Blue Velvet. I think that's her first collaboration. But very early in 1990, Wild at
right, very
Heart.
early.
I'm very excited. It seems like a very, I don't know, highly saturated, I think is the way I'm gonna look at that. And
Right.
then we're finishing that film club with Mulholland Drive, which is, I would say, probably one of the more accessible films of his later films. He had a trilogy about Hollywood in the industry, which I can't believe we didn't even bring up Sabrina yet. She's like,
Oh, I was gonna.
she's deep. Well, we'll have to get there. We'll have to get
We're
there.
gonna have to get there, but I
The
was
other
including
thing, oh,
that.
sorry. Let me just keep
No.
let me finish this
Yeah.
because we have so many things and I want to make sure we get everything here. So that's our films club series is getting like just a little taste of Lynch. We're also starting a new series. Film club is on Monday watching and then Tuesday chat. On Sundays we're starting a TV club to watch Twin Peaks, the TV show from David Lynch, and one of the peoples of Wending Circles, Lo, is an expert at Twin Peaks and is going to help us kind of just understand that world because it's helpful to have a guide in the underworld of Lynch. And then we also have on Sunday earlier at 11 a.m. Pacific, we have our arts forum, and that is not Lynch related. So if you're looking for something else that's happening, that's the time for you. We are watching The Matrix, and then the following Sunday on the 10th, having a workshop, kind of a forum on the different themes of The Matrix and how they get into the cinematic universe we're exploring. And then we have our book club on the 17th. We're starting a new book. We're reading Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And our album club, Spin Society, if you will, we're listening to Middle of Nowhere by Casey Musgraves and then discussing it on the 24th. And the last thing we have in May is a chat room for the American Music Awards on the 25th. So we're not going to stream it because live shows have a tendency to not stream very well. But if you want to chat with some folks and watch it, usually there's a public link that works fairly well. And then we can chat about it in live time. Okay, I did it. I said all the things on the schedule.
Mhm.
That's what we're doing in May. Anything else you want to say, Alyssa, to wrap up our Lynch conversation for now?
Let's see. Yeah. I don't know. I was trying to I have his book right here of Catching the Big Fish. So I was gonna
Mm.
look for a quote, but yeah.
Well, you're looking for that. I have the quote that were his last words that inspired us to celebrate David Lynch in May. So I'll share that, and then if you have any words,
Okay.
we'll close with that. David Lynch's last message was in September of 2024, and he said, "May everyone be happy. May everyone be free of disease. May auspiciousness be seen everywhere. May suffering belong to no one. Peace. Javrut Dev.
Yeah,
Thanks, David Lynch.
thank you. That's a good way to end.
His words, as he said.
So good. May suffering belong to no one is
May
a
suffering
good
belong to no
maxim
one. Hell yeah.
for
Thanks for
sure.
diving into Lynch with me, Alyssa. I'm so excited to
We
watch
did
these films
it.
with
We
you
tried.
and keep
We
talking.
Yeah,
A
we gotta.
perpetual
You just gotta
conversation.
gotta circumambulate around Lynch and keep poking it because you can't be linear at all.
No, no linear. Yes. Well, sweet. See you in film club or in TV club or in arts forum this month, y'all. Take care.